It is.
You got it.
We'll go ahead and begin our agenda meeting. Today we'll review the action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday evening, December 19th, right here at City Hall. And I'll call upon our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, for those action items.
Thank you, Mayor. And right after this meeting, you'll have the work session with Evergreen Solutions, LLC. Moving into your consent agenda, consider resolution. The first item is consider resolution R-23-202, a resolution extending a non-exclusive franchise agreement for the operation of a specialty transit service to Jason Bennett, doing business as JJ Pedicabs, and our city clerk, Harmony Morrissey, will present.
Thank you. Mr. Bennett has held a specialty transit permit since 2016. He currently has 8 licensed pedicabs. The agreement before you just extends his ability to operate for the next 2 years. So this would expire December 31, 2025. It keeps everything the same. There's no substantive changes to the agreement. If you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to try to answer them. If I
Any
can
questions? Probably have to raise your hand since we're all around foliage here. I can't see you.
I'll get smaller ones next year.
Okay, no, that's great. Next item?
Is consider resolution R-23-203, a resolution extending a non-exclusive franchise agreement for the operation of a specialty transit service to Eugene L. Dunn, doing business as Circle Double D Carriage Company, LLC. And again, Ms. Harmony.
Thank you. In December of 22, Mr. Dunn took over the operation of what was formerly Hot Springs Carriage Company. He has been operating that since December 6th of last year. This again is his renewal. There are no substantive changes to the agreement. It does simply allow him to operate for the next 2 years. And I should have said previously as well, both of these will have to have their annual permit renewals, but that franchise agreement would stay in effect for the next 2 years. So this too would expire December 31, 2025.
Any questions on this item? Thank
Next
you.
we have consider resolution R-23-204, a resolution confirming the appointment of Michael Toohey to the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. And again, Ms. Harmony.
Okay. Thank you. This is the item that we removed to come back to you at this meeting. Mr. Toohey has been appointed by the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. There was some information that was requested, and I think that you've all been sent the annual report as well as the minutes and the audited financials for the year of 2022 for the Housing Authority. What's before you, though, is just the appointment of Mr. Toohey. He's currently serving in position 2, and this would appoint him for a full term to that position. These are 5-year terms.
Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. In the information, there was no evidence of public notice. I request that this be sent back and posted in the paper for public notice for applicants. This term expired at the end of August, and it's my understanding, had the city not inquired, no action had been taken. Therefore, in following the proper procedures, I do believe that a public notice is required for the request for anyone interested to apply. So I believe nothing against the current person, but to be in compliance, I believe that public notice should be served.
So in the foliage, I see eyes looking at me. I actually don't know that that is required under their statutory scheme. It is required under the A&P in the packet that you have, for your consideration at the next meeting on the appointment to the A&P or confirmation of the appointment does require that. However, there are a number of issues with regard to the statutory scheme and the attendance records of the applicant that would bear on the reappointment. In actuality, the term expired August the 16th. The statute requires an appointment by the commission within 45 days. That did not occur. The appointment was dated November the 20th. Under the statutory scheme, it now falls to the board to appoint an individual to that position. The only way that I know how to deal with this decisively, Mayor, is to perhaps move it to new business, discuss it, and if the board wishes to appoint someone that the board then follow, as Director Garcia has suggested, the regular process that the board has always engaged in, which is public notice, opportunity to apply, interviews, and the like.
Very good. So what I'm hearing from our legal counsel is to move to new business. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move it to be the first item under new business.
Mayor.
Yes, Director?
Thank you, Mayor. Based on what was shared with us, were those all of the minutes pertaining to the Housing Authority Board of Commissioner? There was what looked to be like one meeting per month between January and October that was shared with us, with one of those months not having a meeting. Does that sound about right?
The minutes that I forwarded to you were the only minutes that we received. We received January, February, April, not March, May, June, not July, August, September, October.
Okay.
The November minutes would not be approved by the commission until their meeting in December, so you wouldn't have approved minutes from November. But of those minutes that were supplied, absences fell in February, April, May, June. We don't know about July, August, September, and October.
Okay. That's what I was going to refer to, too. I would think if we move it to new business, we could kind of find out what was going on with the attendance, because upon review of what was shared with us and other directors, I did notice, too, that of those 9 meetings, only 2 were attended by this applicant.
I believe that's accurate,
Okay.
Director.
Thank you.
Next item, Bill?
Resolution R-23-205, a resolution ratifying the appointment of Chris Dunkel to the Hot Springs Advertising and Promotion Commission. And again, Harmony will present.
Thank you. Chris Dunkel has been serving in position 6 of the A&P. They did meet yesterday to consider the appointment to this position, as it is expiring at the end of this year. They did advertise this notice for an expiring term. They had 2 applicants. They considered both of those last night and decided to reappoint Mr. Dunkel to position 6 to the A&P. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions of the board? Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R-23-206, a resolution authorizing the purchase of certain real property along First Security Way, real property ID 112239 on Lot 3 of the Central and Lakeland Commercial Subdivision in Garland County, Arkansas, authorizing a budget amendment and for other purposes, and Chief Davis is here to discuss the item.
Well, Directors, I have the very, very happy pleasure tonight of coming to you and recommending to you that we purchase a piece of property for the construction of a fire station on South Central Avenue. This property is part of a commercial subdivision behind First Security Bank there on First Security Way. It is a really nice piece of property. It's actually the Exhibit A in your attachment to your packet. Has the property layout in it, also the sales contract, the offer and acceptance. The property itself is an exceptional value for the city at $319,000. It's the lowest cost property in that area, and it actually serves our purposes better than anything else we've looked at. It allows us to have access to Central Avenue, access to Lakeland Drive, easy access to Fowles Road, and some of the other arterial roads that connect in with the South Central Avenue. It also allows us to establish our first fire station south of the Martin Luther King Expressway. So, Harmony has it up on the board if you want to see the particular piece of property. We've had different folks from the city come out and look at it. Denny looked at it, and other folks looked at it, and we all agree that it's the most suitable piece of property for the price in South Central area of Hot Springs. The actual cost of the property is $319,000. It's going to come from the ARPA funding we received from the federal government. There are not a lot of alternatives associated, with the South Central Avenue that come in at this cheap. The next level of pricing for a lot that is appropriate for the construction of a fire station is $739,000. And it is not as well situated as this lot. This is the best lot, period, that we found. It's also the cheapest one.
Mayor, I'll add that we've got about 418,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, of restricted ARPA funds. We will be utilizing that particular funding source for the purchase of this. I want to make sure the board was aware of that.
Any further questions? Or any questions of the chief or Bill? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consider resolution R-23-207, a resolution awarding a bid to ACS Roof Maintenance Incorporated for the roof replacement and building repairs at Animal Control and authorizing a budget adjustment. And our Public Works Director, Ron Seavright, will discuss the item.
Good evening. This building suffered some damage from hailstorms, some interior damage, and also the roof. We placed this project out to bids. We received 2 bids. One was from ACS at $89,085, and the other one was Metal Roof Pros at $174,010. This also not only includes the roof, but it includes replacement of all the ceiling tiles, and this is all covered under insurance.
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Next, we have consider resolution R-23-208, a resolution approving the extension of a natural gas main to the water treatment plant on Little Mazarn Road by Summit Utilities, Inc., in the amount of $181,309, and our project manager, Todd Pillar, is here to present the item. Todd.
Thank you and good afternoon. As you know, we're building a water plant out there on Little Mazarn Road, and I'm working to try to get the utilities all put together. And the new water plant is going to require 4 million BTUs of natural gas, and the extension is 2,203 feet from basically the intersection of Amity Road and Old Burnage Road, and it's a 2-inch main. There'll be a new gas meter regulator. The gas meter regulator about the size of a small SUV. So we'll put bollards around to protect it there from on the corner of Little Mazarn Road and Randall Road. And the utility project will be funded from the 2023 Water Bond Fund.
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consider resolution R-23-209, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of a 2024 certified local government grant funding through the Historic Preservation Fund administered by the National Park Service, Department of Interior, and our Planning and Development Director, Ms. Selman, is here to present.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is a grant that we have received every year, and it is the funding that provides for training, other costs of our Historic District Commission. And this year we are asking also for funding through this grant for a citywide historic preservation plan, and also funds to support an AHPP statewide historic preservation training that for which the City of Hot Springs will be the host. There is no required match to this grant, and we request your consent to follow through with filing and acceptance of the grant.
Any questions of Ms. Selman?
Thank you.
Director Trustee?
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Thank you, Mayor. Did you mention how much we're filing?
It's $85,000.
85.
Mhm.
If you said it, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
I did not.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Next, we have consider resolution R-23-210, a resolution accepting a donation of certain real property from Darrell and Elizabeth Mix for Phase 1 of the Stokes Creek Trail. And our Parks and Trails Director, Anthony Whittington, is here to present.
Well, thank you. This piece of property is the final property needed for our brand new greenway that we have that's fully funded and currently going through the RDOT review process is Stokes Creek Greenway Phase 1. This property it's about 1/10 of an acre triangle-shaped property right before you get to Richard Street along Leonard there. So Stokes Creek Phase 1 will begin at Kimmerer Street and parallel the creek for about 3/8 of a mile and will end at Richard Street. This trail will be asphalt 12 feet wide and allow for two-way traffic, just like our Hot Springs Creek Greenway. This project is part of our Hot Springs Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan. This section will have a trailhead and parking at beginning on Kimmerer Lane. Staff recommends acceptance of the mixed family property donation for future construction of this project.
Any questions of Anthony? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R 23-11, a resolution authorizing a bank account with Bank OZK as a court account for the Garland County District Court and for other purposes, and our city attorney will present this item.
Thank you, Bill. Mayor, members of the board, this is a bit of housekeeping with regard to the checking account for District Court. Arkansas Code annotated section 16-10-204C of the Arkansas District Court's accounting law provides that each court shall maintain court funds separately in depositories approved for the specific purposes by law. The court funds must be deposited into an account styled in the name of the court account, and the funds shall be dispersed only upon the signature of the court clerk and the signature of one other person to be authorized by the court's presiding judge. In addition to the court clerk, the presiding district court judges have authorized a secondary mandatory signature for such account to be that of the court administrator, Chris Burrow, district court judge Meredith Schweitzer, or district court judge Joseph Graham. A bank account styled Garland County District Court account should be established pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated section 16-10-204C of the Arkansas District Court's accounting law, designating the authorized signatories thereon. The current banking accounts, which have been managed by the Finance Department with Bank OZK, should be utilized to effectuate the foregoing. So Section 1 of your resolution will state the current bank OZK account ending in 5377 shall be hereinafter styled Garland County District Court account, and the following are hereby authorized as two required signatures for any negotiable instrument or transaction associated with said account. 1, Chief Clerk of the Court, Daiquiri Fernandez, and 2, Court Administrator Chris Burrow, District Court Judge Meredith Schweitzer, or District Court Judge Joseph Graham. Section 2, Bank OZK account number ending in 5377, styled Garland County District Court account, shall be non-interest bearing and shall include online access for the authorized signatories designated in Section 1. Section 3, upon the establishment of Bank OZK account ending in numbers 5377, styled Garland County District Court account, the fund balances in Bank OZK account ending 5393 and ending in 5583 shall be transferred to the Bank OZK account ending in 5733, styled Garland County District Court account, and thereafter Bank OZK account numbers 5793 and 5583 shall be closed. Section 4, District Court shall at all times comply with the provisions of the Arkansas District Court's accounting law, as now or hereinafter codified at ACA 16-10-201 at SEEK, and shall remain a part of the city's independent comprehensive audit. That concludes the proposed resolution for your consent agenda, Mayor.
Very good. Any questions of Brian on this matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, over here, Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Our finance department does the work for preparing the bank reconciliations, is that correct?
They will still oversee the bank reconciliations, but as mentioned in the statute, it states that only the signature of the clerk and another individual designated by the presiding judge is authorized to be a signator on the account.
My question wasn't signatures, it was bank reconciliations.
The finance department will continue to oversee the bank reconciliations.
So they will prepare the bank reconciliations. Does anyone from district court review the bank reconciliations?
District court will prepare the reconciliations. Finance department will review them.
But someone in district court that is also a signer prepares them, or someone separate?
It'll most likely be one of the signatories.
If I may, we have spoken to district court about segregation of duties and proper internal controls, and we will continue to work with them on those functions.
Yeah, since it's in our financial statements, that's my concern, that you have the proper segregation. And I don't know the law, district court law that you referenced, but I would expect that that would require the proper segregation and internal controls. I would ask if they would not have those separated. The people doing these checks, I don't think should be the ones preparing bank reconciliations.
As I said, we have discussed that with them, and we will work with them to make sure that is in fact the case.
So, the result of your discussions, was there agreement that it would be separated?
What was explained to me was the way that their system works, that those controls are in place. Their accounting, they have, what is it called, Court Connect?
Court Connect, context.
Court Context has things in place as far as who's closing out cashier's drawers, who's taking deposits to the bank, who's recording deposits, who's issuing checks, how vendors are set up in their system, and also who's reconciling those accounts and responsible for that.
But don't they receive a lot of cash payments regarding their fees?
They do.
And there's always extra scrutiny needed in cases where the cash receipts can be mismanaged, and we have seen in the past that has happened in district court. And my opinion that we should not, we would need to be ensured that has that been audited, that we have a statement that is indeed, we don't need any additional segregation. I still have concerns.
So what they indicated to me was that they already have those separations with their banking today, as far as who is, the clerks are receiving the funds, someone separate is closing out their drawers every day, someone different is preparing the bank deposit, someone different is entering those deposits into their system, someone different is actually taking the deposit to the bank. Because I discussed internal controls with them.
And do you have a copy of those internal controls
They-
procedures?
They did. There was no written policy they provided to me. That was just a working discussion we were having about this change.
Isn't it true that most auditors will say if it's not written, it doesn't exist?
I will be happy, Director Garcia, to ask them to document this.
I think that we should have that on file, because it goes into our financials, and we have some responsibility and accountability if something comes up and it's in our audit report.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, we have your, which will now be your second item on new business, is Resolution R-23-212, a resolution adopting the 2024 pay tables for uniformed and non-uniformed employees as set out in the compensation study conducted by Evergreen Solutions LLC and for other purposes. And our HR Director, Brooke Gilbert, will present. Brooke.
Thank you, City Manager. The City of Hot Springs retained Evergreen Solutions LLC to conduct a classification and compensation study. Evergreen reviewed the existing classification and compensation plan to ensure that all positions within the city are internally equitable and externally competitive. The objective is to have a creditable classification and compensation plan that ensures positions performing similar work with essentially the same level of complexity, responsibility, and knowledge, ensures skills and abilities are classified together, provides salaries commensurate with assigned duties, and provides recognizable compensational growth. They provide justifiable pay differential between individual classes and supports wages with relevant labor markets. Evergreen Solutions LLC has presented new pay tables for 2024. Staff requests that the Board of Directors adopts the new pay tables for 2024 to become effective for the pay period ending January 5th, 2024.
Any questions on this side? I know we have a work session that will probably address any questions, so probably best to wait until that time.
Yes, sir.
Next item.
Next is your first ordinance of the evening. It's Ordinance O-2327, an ordinance amending plan development PD zone district boundaries, uses, and site plans by adding 117 Pyron Street to the Finish Line Park plan development. And again, Ms. Selman will present on this item.
Thank you. The applicant is Mr. Bear Davidson, representing the property owner, Silver Spur Properties LLC, and they are asking for plan development zoning on a lot adjacent to the existing Finish Line RV Park PD, also with a site plan approval to expand that park to include a clubhouse, pool, and food truck area for residents. This is on approximately 0.45 acres. It will occupy the entire site. The site surrounded on 3 sides by property also zoned R4 medium-high density residential. And on the other side is the Finish Line RV Park PD. Land uses in the area are single-family residential. Undeveloped land to the northwest is Oak Lawn Jockey Club storage area, and also the Finish Line RV Park. The Hot Springs Code has standards for establishing a PD plan development, one of which is that it involves a parcel in which flexibility would allow high quality or innovative urban design, which the applicant has demonstrated with this application. The site plan depicts the overall layout, the size and configuration of the proposed clubhouse, pool, food truck area, and parking lot. The application materials document the 1,500 square foot clubhouse with a covered patio, 10 parking spaces, and 2 food truck spaces. From Golf Links Road, the private street inside Finish Line RV Park provides the access to this development. Pedestrian sidewalk is proposed along Pyron, Kuka, and Sunnyside streets, and the development will be accessed only from that existing private street inside Finish Line RV Park. Planning Commission duly advertised and held a public hearing on November 9th, and they voted 6-0 to accept the staff report findings of compliance with the requirements and to recommend approving the request assigning PD Plan Development Zone District, approving the PD site plan for the half acre at 117 Pyron Street. Because this is an expansion of an existing PD development that was approved in 2019, the conditions for that development have been added to this application so that the 13 conditions on your ordinance reflect those that pertain specifically to the new area, as well as supporting those existing conditions.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia?
Thank you. Inside our packet, will it include a map or picture that, because I think this is, you said adding a half acre, so can we see in there where that is? And
Absolutely.
the residential, if it's butting up against
Yes.
what residential area? Also, since the approval in 2019, I believe that this has changed ownership.
It has.
And can you include in that the changes in ownership in our packet?
The current plan, the current ownership will be reflected on the application for PD.
And in the planned RV park, can you include in our packet if this, what the plan is for the RVs, how long they can be there? Is this going to be temporary, full-time, or for 2 weeks? How long can an RV
The
park?
RVs can be there for the duration of the live race meet. And just to clarify, there is no additional RV parking on this piece of land. This is the clubhouse, the pool, and parking.
But as you said, we're, with this expansion, we're getting all the conditions. So I would appreciate looking at the whole picture. So you said they can be there from January, or from December till the first week in May for
Yes.
parking?
Yes, it is not reflected, as I recall, by date. It is reflected in reference to the
Whatever
live
dates
race meet.
the live meet, but this
Yes.
current one is from December 8th through the first weekend in May, is that
Right.
And so that, if it was finished, that's how long someone could park there.
That is correct.
And at the planning committee commission meeting, was that brought out?
In 2019, it was, yes.
But not at this one?
Not at
But
this
there
one
was-
because this is only amenities for the existing park.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And, but was there any, and if there, you'll have the vote, if there was anybody speaking from the residential area for or against?
Right, there
Thank
was
you.
not.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, your final item would be ordinance O-2328, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5777, the Hot Springs towing ordinance as codified in Hot Springs Code 10-5-12.4 and for other purposes. And Deputy City Manager Lance Spicer will present the item. Lance?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor, board members. This item comes to you as a request from the Towing Advisory Committee. Towing Advisory is comprised of a police captain, myself as the chairperson. We have two private tow companies, and then additionally there's a citizen at large that will need to be appointed. But for the most part, the Towing Advisory Committee has been reset, and they have requested an increase in some of the towing rates. Towing in and itself, the most recent towing rate increase was from May 2010. So it's been some time since there's been any type of rate increase. I would like to add that Garland County recently, back in the summer of 2022, did a rate increase for their various towing services. Really when we talk about towing services, this is the towing rotation list that the Hot Springs Police Department utilizes when they need calls for service, whatever the case may be. If it's an accident, if it's someone that is unable to drive the car, they're able to call these various towing rotation members that have met specific service requirements, and they have to respond almost immediately. So we require some pretty high service levels from these various tow operators. I think we have 7 or 8 firms currently on this towing rotation list, and as such, with not having any tow rate increases for the last 13 years, they have requested an increase. And really what we tried to do was to simplify the statement of charges that someone would receive. So currently you have large tow trucks, which is anything over, that able to tow anything over 10,000 gross vehicle weight, and then small rollback trucks, which is basically what most people in this room would be accustomed to. That's 10,000 gross vehicle weight and less. Really, the way that our previously rate charges was set up, it was almost in an a la carte type of fashion. If you needed a tarp to cover the unit, if there was debris cleanup, if you had to remove the drive line to get it on the rollback. So there were several charges in addition to the basic tow, and then winching fees, etc. So you can see why when a citizen receives a towing bill from one of these tow companies, there's going to be several charges that are listed, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming. So what we tried to do was to simplify these charges for both your basic, your smaller tow trucks and larger tow trucks, and come up with a flat fee. Incorporates all these various charges, but is also cognizant of the Garland County's rate in addition to the CPI. So if you looked at the CPI, you're talking about it from May of 2022 to current year, you're talking about almost a 42% increase. So obviously if you don't do something over 13 years, that does certainly toll. But what we're looking to do on those rate charges is to go from the 2010 version, had an $85 for a basic tow, and had all those a la carte charges that I was mentioning, is to go to a 150 basic tow charge. Just if PD calls for a tow, 150 is what you're going to be billed, unless you're talking about it's rolled off the bypass, you're going to have to winch it to get it back up to the roadway. There is a fee for that, but really that's kind of the direction we're going. And within your packet, we're going to have some various comparison rates that you're able to look at. Our current rates, what we're proposing to incorporate in the single tow service charges, Garland County's rate, and then also we'll discuss those increases based upon, as you compress them all into one, what you're looking at from a percent increase. Really, if you're talking about compressing the basic tow charge, you're really not increasing the tow rate much with the 150. If you take the 150 and then added in all the various charges, you would actually be at 185 if you did everything. So I think the citizen's probably going to get a little bit better deal. The large tow vehicle, that will increase to 550. So those are like the FedEx trucks. I think we've only got a couple of tow operators are able to do the larger tractor trailer rigs, but there's a few other fees that deal with storage fees to get those back to where we're comparable to Garland County. That's per fee day, $45 per day, and additionally get the wait times comparable to Garland County. But all told, I think it's probably something that's needed, warranted, just based upon the time that has passed. But all that will be in your packet for your consideration. And of course, this will be an ordinance, so that none of this will actually go into effect if it isn't approved until 2024. But I do believe if this does stay on the agenda, there will be some tow operators to attend the meeting to discuss some of the fees, so they can give you probably a little better background and color on some of the questions you may have.
Any questions of Lance? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Lance, would this be applicable for tow companies that are outside of the scope of this ordinance that are being referred to by the Hot Springs Police Department? Or would this just be for those that are within this scope? This 150, basic tow charge that you were sharing, the 550 fee for, larger vehicles such as tractor trailers and FedEx trucks, would that be applicable to every tow service or just those under this scope?
Just those that are on the towing rotation list, and those that Hot Springs Police Department has called for a towing assistant. So if someone is involved in an accident and they have a tow company that they specifically like to use, they say, I do not want to call somebody I don't want PD to call somebody on tow rotation list, call tow company X. These fees will not apply to them. These are only ones when the police department calls specifically for towing assistance. These rates and charges are applicable.
If by chance, and this may be included in our packet, but if by chance there's somebody who needs tow services and Hot Springs Police is on site for whatever the case may be, wreck or whatever, and nobody on that list is available at that time and they have to go outside, then would the fees be applied if the person didn't request anybody off that list?
That's never happened on the towing service, like to call all 7 and none are able to respond.
Okay, there's 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
So usually as you move through the list, and that's a kind of a knock on you if you're unable to answer that call within the response time that PD does require. So thus far, I'm not aware of that happening, but of course, if it does, that I think PD would have to deal with that accordingly. But thus far, I don't believe that has happened.
Would it be your opinion that if by far chance nobody amongst those 7 that are on that list are available can respond to it, and the person who is the owner of the vehicle hasn't made a request to go to another company off that list, and PD has to call somebody outside of that list, would these fees still be applicable?
I believe that's what we would direct them to charge. Of course, we want to make sure that we do right by the citizen, by the customer,
Right,
and do that appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
Lance, is there any mileage included, base mileage included with the 150?
No, sir. Since we're in the city, we're pretty small geographically sized city. We do not allow a per mile, per charge.
So they will tow you to like the dealership or so.
Yeah, or to their
Home.
impound yard, if that is in fact what's happened with the vehicle, if it's been wrecked or salvaged.
Okay. Any additional questions?
Mayor, there are no other items.
That concludes, and we do have a work session. I would respectfully ask that we all remain in our seat. We'll switch over. I apologize. I am on a time crunch here. I have a lighting of the menorah shortly after 5 o'clock. I know we have about a 30-minute evergreen presentation, so if we can switch over and